Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this edition of the News in English with me, Serge Hore. We'll go right away to the details. All across Rwanda, a polio vaccination campaign has begun, with the country's Ministry of Health saying the goal is to vaccinate more than 2.7 million children who are 7 years old and younger against a disabling and life-threatening disease in the next 5 days. We have the details on that. The launch of the campaign at the national level took place in Nyanza district of the southern province, with teams of local health workers going from home to home, vaccinating children 7 years and younger against polio. Local residents have been commending the initiative of the government, noting that having health workers visit homes instead of requiring parents to take their children to health posts and centers is far more effective in ensuring that those who need the vaccine get it. Officials at the Rwanda Biomedical Center are urging parents to make sure that their children are vaccinated, warning that complacency can have devastating effects. That is the reason every child should be reached, because when a person is not vaccinated, that disease can kill them. And with polio particularly, even if they do survive, they may end up crippled for life. That is why we are urging parents to ensure that their children are vaccinated and they do not even have to leave their homes for that to be done. We will go to them. For parents that do not spend the day at home, they should make sure that they leave instructions with their domestic workers, telling them to let the children be vaccinated and check when they get back that it was done by referring to the vaccination cards we leave in homes, so that they may also note when the next dose of the vaccine will be administered. Rwanda's polio vaccination campaign comes after the disease became evident in neighboring countries, and government officials like the governor of the southern province, Alice Kaitesi, say proper coordination with health authorities will be used to put preventive measures in place and other ways to fight the disease. The objective is to vaccinate more than 2.7 million children who are 7 years old and younger against the disabling and life-threatening disease in the next 5 days. The last recorded case of polio in Rwanda was back in 1993. Now, people who were unfortunate not to get vaccinated against polio as children and later contracted the disease know all too well how terrible its consequences can be. That is the reason they are commending the government for its initiative to protect children now, rather than expose them to a potential lifetime of pain and regret. Paul Hategekimana heads the St. Peter Biomedical Center in Kigali, and the fact that he contracted polio as a toddler is directly related to the work he now does.
Mfite ubumuga bw'ingingo navanye ku mbasa narwaye ndi umwana mfite imyaka 3.
I am a cripple because of polio. I contracted it when I was 3 years old. When I was born, the country did not have enough polio vaccines, which is the reason not all babies were being vaccinated at that time. My parents later told me that when I got sick, I developed a deadly fever, and after it passed, the right side of my body had been permanently negatively affected. Many parents at the time did not even know what polio is, some calling it malaria because of the fever, others meningitis. As a child, I was not able to walk for far longer than was normal, and when I finally did, I had to use a crutch. Unfortunate as all of this may sound, Paul was in fact among the lucky ones when you consider how things could have turned out for him. At Gatagara, we were fortunate to have Father Frepon, and I would say he was sent to us by God, because apart from teaching people like us to walk, he also sought ways for us to make a living without begging, because that was usually the fate of crippled people, with even their families wanting nothing to do with them. He started the first laboratory school in the country at Gatagara, and I was among the first 5 students to go there. We were all crippled, but after we graduated, we at least had a chance of employment, and I got a job at a blood transfusion lab. Paul and others like him, like Claire Mukanganizi, strongly urge parents today to ensure that their children are vaccinated against polio. The vaccine is good because it eliminates permanent and devastating consequences. It would be unfortunate for a baby to be born with no problems, only to have to deal with being a cripple for the rest of their life because of polio. Imagine your child having to drag themselves around for the rest of their lives because their arms and legs are crippled. This initiative to vaccinate children being championed by the government is one of love. Local health workers are also urging parents to have their children vaccinated, pointing out that the vaccine itself is completely safe.
urukingo ni rwiza kandi ruzafasha abana mu bijyanye.
The vaccine is safe and will help the children to develop immunity against the virus that causes polio. That not only has the potential to cripple and even kill, but also to seriously hinder a child's physical and mental development. I urge parents to take this seriously in the strongest possible terms.
Ababyeyi bagomba kubiha agaciro cyane kuko ni ngombwa.
The Ministry of Health says a child should be given 2 doses of the polio vaccine orally, 4 weeks apart. Now to the agricultural sector. Those in Rwanda's poultry industry have been embracing the use of technology to increase productivity, using things like a single vaccination of chicks to reduce the risks that may devastate their stocks if the chicks were to get sick, as opposed to older methods that required multiple administrations of vaccines over a longer period of time. We have the details on that as well. The professional poultry farmers are delighted that a single dose of the vaccine is enough to keep their chickens safe instead of the 4 doses that are previously required for meat producers and more than 10 for chickens meant to lay eggs. The company responsible for developing the vaccine says it is very effective and does not require to be administered multiple times.
We have very recently launched a project called Prevent. Prevent is promoting and enabling vaccination efficiently now and tomorrow. It's a project that will be focused on the hatcheries to help them to start producing the vaccinated chicks, the old vaccinated chicks. This project will be helping very much the small-scale farmers who are not able to vaccinate for themselves. It will also benefit for the farmers who are struggling or who are facing the problems of vaccinating, because there are some advantages of using a vaccinated chick compared with non-vaccinated chicks. The technicity and even the way of preparation of the vaccine, it's a very challenging to the farmers. So this project will be helping them. Coming to the hatcheries, we'll be helping the hatcheries to get the equipments. We'll be helping the hatcheries to help preparing the vaccination preparation room, with giving them the equipment that are very necessary, such as the fridge, such as generator, such as the all equipment that will be needed will be given to them to refurbish their vaccination preparation room. So our selling product will be only the vaccines, but each and everything will be benefiting from the hatcheries.
Officials at the Rwanda Agriculture and Animal Resources Development Board say a lot is expected from this sort of technology, especially when it comes to the costs of multiple vaccinations, and trainings have begun on the proper use of this advanced vaccine. Now to the education sector, where experts have once again reiterated that girl-child education in Africa must be promoted if the continent wants to attain long-term development. Educators from different African countries are in Rwanda to discuss how gender equality can be further promoted in the education sector here in Africa. We have more on that as well. Rwandan female scientists like Dr. Marie-Solange Wineza and Ange Izere are adamant that girls should not waste the opportunities they have been given because they can be life-changing, while officials in Rwanda's Ministry of Education like Rose Baguma, who is the Director General in charge of education policy and analysis, point out that even though much has been achieved when it comes to the promotion of girl-child education, there is still a long way to go. Delegates from 6 African countries are currently in Rwanda to discuss how principles of gender equality can be more effectively applied in the continent's education sector.
So the main challenges is access to education by girls and women, but mostly retention of girls and teenagers through the curriculum for the school. So we see in most countries access is equal, but as far as we go, it's starting to drop in girls' education. So we do promotion of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics also for girls, and that because the level of enrollment is really low in universities and technical and vocational training.
And where do you want countries to invest more?
So I think it's about community sensitization at some level. So we need the community to be able to challenge the social norms that prevent the girls to go to school. And there's also, I think, a lot of investment to do with people with disabilities. that are sometimes there's one school in the whole country or two or three. So we would like to see more, and we're partnering with some organization that do that, either a school or lobbying for it to happen.
I think anyone who's not investing in girls and women, then you don't know what to invest in, because promoting the rights of girls and women is equals to development, because they make more than 50% of the population, and if you leave more than 50% of your population behind, then the chances of developing are also less. We've also seen over time that there's a lot that girls and women can contribute in any society. And if you invest in their education, because education is power, education is knowledge, then they are able to positively influence changes in their societies and also make changes in their families and ultimately the whole country. So investing in girls is where to put your money.
Rwanda's government is determined to encourage more girls to study STEM subjects as well as vocational training. That report brings us to the end of this edition of the News in English. I'm glad you are able to join us. I hope you have a great week ahead of you, and goodbye.